I'm Diego Sanchez, COO of HW Media, and this is 10-Minute Talks. My guest today is Aneeza Haleem, VP of Technology at Planet Home Lending. Aneeza, welcome to 10-Minute Talks.
Thank you so much for having me, Diego. It's wonderful to be here.
It's so great having you. Before we dive in, could you give a 30-second intro of yourself and Planet Home Lending?
Sure. So Planet Home Lending is one of the top 10 mortgage companies. We have innovative retail, correspondence, servicing, and asset management solutions. My role in all of this is to ensure that we have the right technology in place to ensure efficiency, accuracy, and the best customer service that we could possibly imagine.
And you've had a career on the vendor and the lender sides of mortgage technology. What attracted you from the vendor side over to Planet Home Lending?
So the vendor side was exciting. Don't get me wrong. It's different people, different clients, different problems. It could be new implementations, production support, enhancements to existing products. And it's an ever-changing landscape. There's never one solution that fits all. So it's a constant finding that right balance between solutions and the people that it needs to fit with, making sure that it works, which is in itself quite exciting. But you never really have full ownership. You come in, you consult, you advise, you lay out the pros and cons, and after that, it's all up to the client. What I was really missing was that ownership of this is what has been created. This is how it's helping the team. This is the impact that our solutions had on the end users, on internal users. That's what made me more interested on the others, to move to the other side. And with Planet specifically, when I joined 3 years ago, this is when we were investing heavily in technology, trying to have that end-to-end ownership of the customer experience for both internal users as well as our end users. So there was a lot of consolidating, a lot of customizing, balancing what could be done in-house versus vendor dependence, just trying to move towards a more seamless and efficient landscape.
And were there specific technology projects that you jumped right in on when you joined?
With any lender servicer, the first thing is always, how can we automate what our customer-facing teams are doing? So whether it's our retail folks or on the other end of it, if it's our contact centers that are working with servicing clients, how can we make their job simpler? So with any project, though, whether it was document indexing or data extraction, we'll take a product, but then there's always the planetizing process of it, right? How does it work best for us? And to me as a consultant, that's the most exciting bit because, again, it's different people, different ways of looking at the same kind of product. Document indexing is document indexing, right? It's been around for decades now. There's nothing special about it on the surface. But how do we take such a generic product and make it actually work for every team? How do we prioritize what the data flow should be? How do we make sure that everybody gets the data that they need, but also in the form that's most useful for them, right? What actually makes the greatest impact for which team? So those are the kind of projects that we've been working on for a while now. That's what I jumped in with, and it's been exciting. For us now, like our servicing portfolio is 76 billion. We're the fastest growing non-prime asset manager and the only one with like a true commercial servicing platform. Our correspondent division is number 4 nationally, and 60% of its customers deliver loans monthly. So it's exciting to be in technology at Planet.
You know, I've been speaking with a lot of mortgage executives, and they say that right now, even though origination is slow, or maybe because origination is slow in this difficult housing market, it's a really good time to be looking at and trying to solve difficult mortgage technology problems. What do you think are the biggest technology problems right now for Planet Home Lending and for mortgage in general?
So paper has always been my pet peeve. It's bad for the planet. Even more, it's so much more secure and efficient and easier, more extensible to go with electronic solutions. But there are limitations. People, certain processes, you just can't get around, right? At least not yet, right? There needs to be a lot more change across multiple facets. It's not one person, one item. It's across the board. There are just areas where we're a little slower to move on to more electronic platforms. So that to me is it's cumbersome. I'll put it like we begrudgingly support it, but it's cumbersome. More recently, though, it's been loose and fast advertising. I'm sure you've seen plenty of powered by AI solutions, especially in the last year or so. And to be honest, there are no real guidelines, right, on what you can qualify as powered by AI. So we're seeing a lot of older solutions just with new shiny packaging and the tagline of powered by AI. I understand the sales reason for it. I completely get it. But it leads to a lot of, I'd say, conversations that I'd rather not have to have, right? Even though from a technology perspective, we can see that, it's basically the same thing that we saw a few years ago. There's still that need to dispel the myth, and not just with internal business partners, but also with end users, right? Who see, well, now Chat GPT can do this for me, or now, Google AI can do this for me. So how are you not using it? So a lot of hullabaloo about very little, in my opinion.
Are you concerned at all about compliance or regulatory issues associated with AI and the other modern technologies?
I'm concerned about the fact that we don't have a lot of oversight in this space yet because it's so new, right? We've all seen, Facebook, Twitter. There have been a lot of conversations around needing some type of guardrails, but not enough has been done. One thing I will say for the mortgage industry, irrespective of what may happen around, compliance is always going to be on the forefront. There is no getting around it, right? So am I worried for the mortgage industry specifically? Not quite. Am I worried for the world at large? Yes.
Well, let's dig in a little bit on Chat GPT. That's actually one of the reasons that we connected on LinkedIn and are having this conversation. What role do you see chatbots like Chat GPT playing in the mortgage process, whether it's the prospecting process, the sales process, or the origination process, or the things that come afterwards?
I like the idea of AI-assisted chatbots. I like the idea of having that first layer that can provide instant answers to people. We have AI powered, well, we have AI infused chatbots on our site as well. And I like the idea of the availability that provides, right? You could be, 2 a.m. looking for mortgages, trying to understand a basic concept. You can talk to the chatbot and at least get high level information. Will it replace our core teams? I don't think so. No time soon. Does it replace the conversation you should have with a licensed professional? Of course not. But just for that quick feel, just to get a quick idea of what is possible, I like the idea. I like where that's headed. I see a lot of the AI-powered solutions right now as really smart Google, right? It gets you closer to the answer, but you still have to do your verification. You still have to check the references. And there have been a lot of stories of late of AI making assumptions that aren't quite true, even botching sources up just because it's read it enough times. So in this world, I think, yes, this is where we're headed. Yes, this is a great path to be on. But again, it goes back to what are the guardrails that we have in place? How much faith can we put in something that we don't truly understand ourselves? And we've had this conversation of narrow AI versus general AI, right? General AI is what you see in books and movies and stuff, Data, C3PO, Jarvis, Griot. Those are supercomputers that can also understand the world similar to many humans, right? They can infer data, they can extrapolate from theories, they can understand. But what we typically see is narrow AI. So you define a task, it does it. You put multiple tasks together, create a complex workflow, it still does it. You introduce some fuzziness, right? Some wildcard characters, it still manages to do it. But then it starts to get a little kludgy when you move into deep neural networks or black box learning, because you don't know exactly how the computer is understanding it, what assumptions it's making. That part's a little hazy for all of us. Like there was this example of a deep neural network that was trained on trying to figure out malignant tumors. It was fed millions of images of skin lesions, and it was supposed to figure out which ones were malignant, which ones were not. People later found out that the algorithm was making this assumption of if the image had a ruler in it, like medical images usually have a ruler to scale, if it had a ruler in it, it would assume it was malignant. Now, that's not an assumption we would make. It's not an assumption we would even think to clarify up front, right? That's the problem. We don't know what assumptions they're making always.
Right. How do you train that AI?
Exactly.
Because it can be garbage in, garbage out, like a lot of things. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time today. Thanks so much for joining me.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.